The discussion you are about to endure, while based on true current events, is a fictional show with fictional characters. The writers, speakers, and voice performers herein do not necessarily agree nor disagree with any statements or claims made on the show.
How do you feel about the current state of the police force? Our men and women in blue.
Um, that's a difficult question.
Well, so
Um,
y'all gotta do some work. Look how long it's taking this lady to respond.
well, no. Okay, I just want to say that at least growing up, we were always under the impression that it was the police force's job to protect and serve us. That's just what we were taught.
Let's
I don't
pause
know.
right there. What does that mean to you? Protect and serve.
Like if I were getting mugged, a cop would help save me. If my car was broken into, they would help do something about it. If a crime happened to me, they would help me with it.
So should they be sitting in the cut, as I like to say, with their lights off and pitch black, waiting for somebody to do something wrong?
No, because then they are looking for trouble. Okay, so in other countries, you will notice that their cop cars are much different than ours. They are brightly colored so that people can spot them if they need help. I have been in other countries where cops stand on the sidewalk, and if you're drunk, they'll help make sure that you get home safe.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
pretty different than here.
It
You
is
getting
a
ticket.
lot different.
Public intoxication.
Here, police are like seeing dollar signs on everybody because everyone they bring in is bringing some sort of money, some sort of profit to their company. And that's what it comes back to is this a private for-profit company or is this a non-profit serve the people
Taxpayer
situation?
funded.
Right.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
So why then are there so many speed traps? Oh my gosh, we were talking about the other day about if I ever were to make a documentary, and I just remembered that I had an idea once of making a documentary about speed traps.
Well, that's great.
Please don't steal my ideas. Okay.
No, listen, because I had a question because I was. Now you can include this. I'm willing to donate this question to the cause. Seeing as how most speed limits were set at a time when cars were less reliable, is it not time to update speed limits?
Oh man.
Think about that though.
I just want to say, I hope that there's no cops that sit on the road when I'm driving home. Because when I had my speedometer right on 84. I was like, here we go. Because
like
I'm trying to get
living on
home.
the edge.
But if there's nobody on the road. Okay,
feel
this is the
you.
thing, too. You got to realize that in Atlanta, speed limits work almost as suggestions that everyone ignores. Because I have been in places where people will go 90 miles an hour in a 55 just because they're on the highway.
I've seen that, and somehow I feel like that's the most miraculous thing I've ever seen. Because let me tell you something. Riding, one night I was coming home. Now, mind you, I started driving late. Like, when I moved back to Atlanta, I just been driving, like, maybe a little over a year. And this was dumb of me, but I guess I don't know what this will go to show. But I was pulling up around a golf course in the area, and I seen a car, and it looked odd to me. And I was like, I wonder if that's a cop car. So what I decided to do, worst judgment I could ever have, was to speed up because I was curious. Like, I just wanted to know what
Did
would
he
happen.
pull you over?
Oh yeah, but my suspicions was confirmed because he was facing me, and I was like, do they have sensors on the front of their car? And it turns out that they do, and I didn't know. Like, it was just something I was thinking, and so for whatever reason, I just kind of punched it a little bit, and the front of the car lights up like Christmas or something. And I was like, oh snap, it really happened the way I thought it would. Like, I never saw it before. It was like I imagined it into reality. And then he like pulls around, gets behind me, and then he goes, do you know how fast you were going? I was like, maybe 40, 45. It's a 35. So I was hoping that, he might let me go for the very reasons that you said. There was no one over here except for him and I. And then he said, I would let you go except for the fact that you were just going a little too fast. Is kind of how he phrased it. And then he said, so what I'll do for you is, so you don't get points, I just put too fast for conditions.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What? I've never even heard of that.
Too fast for conditions?
What does that mean,
So,
and how did that affect you?
Well, I still had to pay like a $200 or so ticket.
Holy shit.
But it was no
what
points.
Area of town was that? This area?
Yeah.
Oh,
this area
God.
right here.
See, I noticed, too, that where you're at depends on how much your ticket's going to be. So I got a super speeders once, but I was in Alabama on my way to Panama City Beach. Woo!
Oh.
And my ticket there, it did end up costing me my license, but the actual ticket itself cost me like $215 or something.
For a super speeder.
And I got pulled over in Duluth, Georgia,
Yes.
going like maybe 10 miles over the speed limit, and my ticket there was $250.
Exactly. Yeah, Duluth is another one.
It's just crazy how they inflate the prices depending on what side of town you are.
Did you go, or did you just go up to the clerk's desk and pay it?
I think I paid on the phone.
On the phone, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, the judge over there is hilarious.
Really?
He's funny.
Why?
Maybe the judge over in this area is also, but he's funny because they're very matter of fact type judges. Like, I guess when you don't have a lot of experience with that, you get the TV impression of like there's a little bit of back and forth, a little bit of dialogue.
And there's not.
They're like, son, were you doing 10 miles over the speed limit? Order served.
Yeah.
It's like, but judge, I had somewhere. Nope, none of that. No, but judge, no, sir. I'd like to explain why me and the officer had a difference. It's just like, were you going 5 or 10 or whatever? Were you driving without a license? Yeah, no. All right, well,
Guilty.
pay your fine. Guilty.
No, not guilty.
Or you could plead no low. Yep, no contender.
I did that once. I think you only get to do it once.
Like every 5 years or something like that.
Yeah, I was
5
younger.
years.
It was for underage drinking.
Oh, wow. So.
I was a bar. Okay, so there was this bar club thing, I guess. They would play music. There's a DJ, whatever. Mm-hmm. And you were allowed to go as 18 and up, 21 to drink, So I would go with my friends, and, we would go in the bathroom and scrub our X's off our hands, the X's they put to say that you're underage.
Oh, wow.
And I remember, like, I guess they just really look for you, right? I had not drank anything that day. I was completely sober otherwise. And all of a sudden, my boyfriend at the time hands me a shot of whiskey.
Oh, wow.
I take this shot, and, like, as I'm coming up from taking this shot, there's, like, 5 security guards around me.
Oh, man.
It was nuts.
They had you marked for real.
Yeah, it was nuts.
They was waiting.
That was like a movie.
They saw that. It's like, there he goes. There
she goes. There she is. Okay, we got him.
Mobile 1. The boyfriend has just passed the drink. Are you ready? Are you in position? Stand by. Eagle 1.
Insane.
The glass is in her hand. Eagle 2. Move in.
Well, the real funny part is that they try to breathalyze me. And I have asthma, so it's like really hard for me to blow enough air for a breathalyzer.
Oh, wow.
So they thought I was like messing with them or something, and I'm like, no, officer, I literally like am trying to blow as hard as I can. Oh, God.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just funny when things like that happen and you're like not even that messed up. You're like... of all the times that I have been ridiculously,
you have
insanely
had some crazy...
drunk, you all of a sudden want to give me a ticket and I'm pretty much sober. What the hell is this?
I mean, to your point, though, I think sometimes they do, like, if they've already made a decision to then they shouldn't really go too hard with the making you walk the line and do the twisty twirlies and do the breathalyzer.
Like, y'all set me up for this.
Yeah, like, look, you've already said that I'm drinking, so let's just throw me in the car and get this over with. Mm-hmm. Instead of trying to kill me, because like, that's the problem I have with what you said. Like, there's been cases, especially recently, where people have health conditions and then they think people are resisting or something like that.
Right. They assume a lot.
Yeah, and I tell you, like, I do care a lot about doing the right thing, especially now. But it's like, I've been privy to like situations where officers have like expressed that a lot of times they just label people just based off of sometimes just the environment. Like it ain't even
Right.
got nothing to do with
Right.
right. It's just like it's a high intense environment, and like, hey, the only reason why you're here is to cause trouble, and it may not be the case. Like you could be an innocent bystander. Your friends may have been like, hey, let's go do this cool fun thing. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome, and you show up, and then somehow, a bunch of young people get together. It might get a little crazy.
Right.
Next thing you know, now these officers already have this preconditioned idea about all these young people, and now they're like uber aggressive towards them.
It's really scary. I think that there's also a lot to do with the mindset that an officer is in when he goes out for a day of work. And I think that there is a lot of, in the training that they do to like help you to become a police officer, I think there's a chance that they might be putting you in a mindset that antagonizes the citizens. Maybe not intentionally, but like through their training, they're training you how to shoot people and how to do this stuff, but they're not training you how to like be understanding or compassionate or like even just level with people.
Absolutely.
You can have someone doing something wrong and you can talk them down from whatever situation, but you have to be calm, cool, and calculated, and you have to be, able to handle that pressure. But it's like they put these cops in this situation and they already have them in this mindset of like fast responding and like pretty much responding without thinking. And
so
it's really scary.
I kind of want to attack it from both sides, because on one side of the argument, I could say, and I will say, I'm probably lead with the negative and then trail with a more positive view. Have you heard like on the fringe side of reporting that like the police force has been militarized?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, obviously it's got something to do with it, but I also think that maybe like also the glamorization of shows like Cops. What's that one that Steven Seagal was in? I can't think. I just remember Steven Seagal was in there, but it was like Real PD or something like that, where they actually was releasing their body cam footage on like sting operations. And I think a lot of times,
I don't think I saw that.
it might have been on True TV or something like that. But would you say that sort of like conditions a young officer to like the fun that they're going to get to have?
Yeah, I mean,
Going into
I
becoming
think
an
definitely
officer.
there's this like when you're a little kid and you're like, oh, I want to grow up and be a police officer. You're imagining like those types of characters that you see on TV, and then a lot of times what happens is they end up directing traffic or something, and they're like.
That's when everybody's being good,
Yeah. But God, some of those guys really don't know what they're doing when they're directing traffic.
Oh. See, I think that going back to what you were saying just a second ago, I will certainly agree that a lot of times, like people, just in general, stepping back from just bashing on the police, because I'm happy that we have them, and when they are effective, they are effective. Just when they suck, they really suck, and there shouldn't be a case where they suck.
Yeah, well, and there are different divisions where, like, I notice if I speak to an Atlanta police officer, they have a lot different demeanor than if I speak to like a county police officer, or especially like a
suburban, I guess, or
like a why can't I think of what they're called?
You're not talking about a sheriff
like
or anything.
A trooper.
A trooper,
yeah. Like if I were to talk to a state trooper, they have a different attitude and demeanor than if I speak to like an Atlanta officer. And it's funny because a lot of the Atlanta officers I've had encounters with are actually really kind, and they're like, okay, we'll get home safe, or whatever. And if I've ever been pulled over, but but yeah, it just
a lot of it.
I think it comes down to almost like company culture. So like similar to, our job or any other job, there's like a certain culture in that business and in the way that those employees feel about their jobs and their positions and how they carry themselves and how they treat people around them. Like, great example, the cops that work at the airport. They are always on edge all the time. I cried once because of a police officer directing traffic in an airport. And because he yelled at me and I was trying to find my elderly grandmother and she didn't know how to answer her phone because she's like 90 years old. And I was so stressed out, and this man is screaming at me to move my car when I'm just trying to ask him a question. And so no, there's just I think that it is an environment, like a culture of your environment. And I think that it just really sucks because we have so many situations in this nation where innocent people are literally murdered by the police force, and it's hard for people to still trust law enforcement after that. And I mean, I can admit myself, I have a hard time trusting them. If I see a situation where an officer is by themselves talking to especially a person of color by themselves, I'm going to pay attention and watch and make sure nothing happens because I'm scared for that person. Because that's the point that we're at now. And it just sucks. And I think that's why also now you see them traveling in pairs. Have you ever noticed? Like, we drove by someone that was pulled over earlier today, and there's 2 cop cars with them.
Yeah, that's. I feel like I don't like the pair thing too much. That happened to me once, and it definitely makes you feel like it puts the person, I feel, on edge because it makes you feel like you've done more than what you've actually done.
Well, you're also alone, and there's 2 cops around you, and then
even
you know
4.
if something goes wrong that the other one's going to serve witness and stand up for whatever narrative the other one wants.
Unfortunately, that is true. I actually have very solid information on somebody saying that, even if I could somehow prove that there was some motivation for pulling me over other than just pulling me over because they were just doing a routine stop, there isn't anyone in the department that would support that idea. In fact, they do everything to try to navigate around it.
Right.
And so, unfortunately, I feel like I really wanted to spin it and be more positive about it. So I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to say, what do you think we as people, as civilians, can do to, because we aren't all right. Sometimes the reaction is justified, I guess. It's kind of what I'm trying to say.
Well,
or do you feel like there is no situation where
it's hard for me to speak on this subject because I am privileged. Because I am a white, pretty female, it is hard for me to say whether or not there are certain things a citizen can do differently. Because I have seen so many videos of people where it's a black man and he's doing everything that the officer asked him to and then still gets killed in the situation. So it's hard for me to sit here and be like, oh, well, I'm just nice to every police officer I talk to in hopes that like I don't get in trouble because I'm already privileged in where I stand. I don't think that I can speak on that.
So what's interesting about that is we may be able to get back to the privilege thing. I kind of see statements like that kind of make me take a step back because amongst my peers, I may stand out a wee bit in the sense of like I don't look at anyone any more privileged than I am. That's not me saying though that I ignore the harsh realities of the world, because I've been stopped for walking a dog in a neighborhood I thought I was pretty recognizable in, but the officer saw fit to stop me. And I've also been stopped for walking in a neighborhood I, obviously was a bit different than the typical population. So, I'm definitely not saying, but what I'm trying to say is that, like, I've also had experiences where you would think that the cop that's serving justice would be as lenient because I should have privilege in that situation, but they still treat me with the same aggression, or friends or people I know of with the same type of aggression that is usually attributed to other people of a different skin color, I suppose. If we just gonna call brass tacks, I'm just like, to me, it's a blanket thing. Like, whether they are Asian or actually, no. Asian cops are pretty nice.
Oh my gosh.
To be honest,
My
Asian cops are pretty nice. It's the other ones.
I think that there are both sides to every coin, but I do think, especially because we live in the South, we do come across a lot of racist cops. But that's again why I say that the Atlanta cops are really nice. I mean, except, well, I don't know if he was Atlanta or if he was a county thing. I don't know. There was a situation where my ex got pulled over for, he just took a turn a little too aggressively. So essentially, you just heard the car go, like the skid or whatever.
Yeah.
And a cop was mad about that because it was a Sunday, which I don't know why that matters. But to him, it mattered that it was a Sunday and you shouldn't be driving around here, leaving skid tire marks on the road, whatever.
Wow.
Well, I explained to the cop that we were in an argument. We were just trying to turn around and go home, whatever. Well, cop sees me, what I look like, sees my ex, what he looked like. I don't know if you've seen pictures of And he decides to arrest him for aggressive driving.
Oh, wow.
And I think that it was a race thing. I think it was like, oh, y'all were in an argument and you're driving dangerously with this girl in your car and we're going to put you in jail for that. And because what happened was when my ex went to court for the situation, they dropped it. They were like, yeah, there was no reason for him to bring you in over something that could have just been a ticket, especially when there was no proof that he did anything like wrong. He just took a turn a little bit fast. But he didn't learn any lessons from that. But needless to say, I think that there is something about the cops and the way that they treat people of different races. And that being said, the only precaution that I would suggest would just be try to be polite to them. But it's hard when you know that they're coming after you, treating you like you're already a criminal. Because that's the thing too, is like, we think that this system is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, but so many people treat you like you're guilty even if you haven't done anything.
So what is that a reflection of, do you think? Like, is that because it has to start somewhere? Like,
I think it has to do with the culture of their company, of who they're working with. And it's either, if it's not something in the training that they're doing, it's something in the culture of all their coworkers, the way they talk about people, or it's something of that sort.
See, I want to get it, because to me it's like it has to be. I find it hard to be like, I go to a place, you know what, it happens. I just feel like maybe it's foreign to me because I wouldn't let that happen. But you go to a place and it transforms you. Like, I feel like you and I were cops. How is it that when I leave home, or when I'm at home, everybody is a regular person just like me? I go to the store, they're not my concern. Okay, now I go to the police force. Now all of a sudden everybody's a criminal. Like, where's this transformation? Like, I feel like when I'm at home, I must think you're a criminal already.
I don't know. I wish I knew. I don't know. We can interview a cop. You want me to bring an ex-cop on the show?
That would be very interesting.
Actually, I have been thinking about what we should do as far as guest speakers on this show. So we should get into that conversation separately. If there's any type of person that you want to hear us talk about, let us know. But yeah, I'm sure there's some people that want to be involved, and we have yet to involve a guest. But yeah, as far as I really don't know where it comes from. I don't. Maybe they put on that outfit and they all of a sudden like
Transformers.
It's a mindset. It's got to be some sort of a mindset of like, I'm a cop now and I must look out and be involved in what everyone's doing. And
it's just to me, it's such madness. Like I definitely like feel like as a cop or as a law enforcement officer of some type, my goal would be for the betterment of the people. I feel like if you're going to get up there and say that, then where is this? Like, you had to be lying from the beginning, I suppose, is what I'm saying. I feel like you never meant what you said when you took the oath of office. It was always about, and maybe that person or persons, they have inferiority complex, and they get into power to change that because they need to feel a sense of power. And maybe that's why we need to have better psych evaluations. But then I have to ask who's doing these psych evaluations. Because
right.
that seems to be like, I'm like, and they're supposed to be professionals. So either they're not professionals or they're just as crazy.
Yeah. I think it would be cool to have someone on here to talk about that with us, because I think that also one of the purposes of this podcast is to be able to openly learn about things that we have opinions on and maybe don't fully understand. And I think that we're doing a great job of like trying to juggle these ideas, but we do need some resources to figure out what it is that we don't know, all the things that we don't know about that side of the stuff.
I agree. Actually, I look at it slightly different. Like I said earlier, I don't know. How can I say it? See, here's my thing. I feel like up to a point, I should have the right to defend myself. Up to a point. That being said, I guess what I'm somewhat fundamentally asking is, for a person like myself or a person of a similar mindset, I guess this conversation may go into another nice little topic that's a spinoff. At what point do I need an officer? Do I need an officer?
I don't know. I guess it.
Because like when I think about fundamentally the purpose of me calling an officer is because the situation has gone beyond the realm of my own personal ability.
Right.
Now, I say a spinoff because, like, let's say I'm licensed but I'm armed. If I feel like someone is a threat to me, my person, my family, my environment, and I deal with that person, assuming a legal way, it's in defense, then why should I have to call an officer?
Well, I think that in that case, because I don't know. See, this is hard because you have to call someone to come get the criminal. Like, let's say that you don't shoot this person. Let's say that in self-defense, you tie them up and hold them. And then you call a cop to come arrest them and remove them. Then that would be why you called them.
Okay, that's fair.
You know? But,
to detain them, because I'm not going to detain them at my house.
Right, exactly.
Right. I can agree with that.
So, yeah, I think that...
But let's say I had to shoot them.
Well, you still have to call an officer to come and investigate it, because now there's been... Anytime that there's a crime, that's when you're supposed to call them. So, like, someone broke into my car. I didn't know who it was. It happened while I was asleep. I wake up, my car's broken into. I call an officer to get them to write a report about it so that it's on file that my car was broken into in case someone else has it happen to them and it's like a trail of things that they need to track or whatever. But I didn't actually get anything out of calling them and telling them that. They just wrote it down as a report. Just in the case of like, it's just about tracking evidence.
So I know I agree with that, because I don't think there's like the average person can do tracking, but it kind of like all what you were saying just reminded me of a movie term, vigilante justice. I mean, it's a real thing, but I learned it from the movies. And so like let's say I have a series of skills, like, and someone has literally done an injustice. What's like, why do you believe it became wrong for me to handle it? Because I'm sorry, like if someone killed my child or my wife, I would probably be on a quest for vengeance, I'm sure, or held them hostage or something like that. And given, let's lay out some outside factors, like they're gonna take 40 minutes to an hour to reach my destination. In that time, I could have gotten to the person, or they can get away.
Well, you have to handle it however you can in the immediate moments. But I think that there's a point where you hand it over to the police. You know? Also, just to save yourself, because at some point, you can be charged with something.
Oh, I know.
I mean, there's such thing as like a citizen's arrest, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can only do so much before all of a sudden you're crossing a line of, okay, well, now you're committing crimes against this person. You're committing assault or battery or whatever.
But I'm curious, like, where does that come from, though? I mean, it's just I'm saying, as people, I'm sure there's legal reasons. I know a few of them. Yeah, it's a legal thing,
but it's also like there's whether or not it's in defense. If your life is in immediate danger, that you have reason to believe that this person is about to kill you, coming towards you, whatever, then yeah, you act in defense. But if you're not in immediate danger, and say someone is just stealing from you, you can't kill them. There's laws around that. So that's what it comes down to, I guess.
So yeah, I mean, I realize that I guess I'm kind of slightly moving the goalpost. Maybe, I hope not, but maybe I am. But it's kind of like, let's say this person is stealing from me, and then the actions, my intent is not to kill them, but my actions lead to their death.
And then you have to go through a trial.
Are
you trying to kill someone, Frank?
Of course not.
Okay.
I've thought about it. No,
oh, God.
No.
Help me. Help, I'm at this man's house. Okay.
No, I'm only kidding.
No, I mean, there are very specific laws around that stuff.
No, I know. Like, say, for instance, someone come in your house, as soon as they move from an aggressor state to a victim state, you can't attack them anymore.
But where is that line?
When they turn their back to you.
Oh.
So you have to hit them while they're facing you.
Huh.
Yep.
Interesting that you know the specifics of this, because I did not know that.
Hey, it's stuff you gotta know sometimes. But,
yeah.
But I'm like, as a people, like, when do we decide? I guess it's kind of like, what in my mind would make me vote on a thing to be like, okay, this person just came into my home, put my wife, my family, my dog, John Wick, in danger.
What's your dog's name?
No,
John Wick. No. Oh, I thought that you were saying that was your dog's name.
No, but yeah, I'm saying they put something of mine in danger. I feel like I should have. They've come into my home. They whatever happens to them at that point, that's their fault.
Frank said, "I'm gonna kill them."
I'm not saying, hey.
You got to give them a warning, I think.
That's what they like. You're supposed to announce, like if you
come any closer, I will shoot.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, because think about it this way. Like, let's say you're laid up in your bed and you're asleep, and then somebody comes in. I don't want to. Someone is in their bed asleep. And then some person sneaks into their home and stabs them. I mean, they didn't announce it to you. You see what I'm saying? They didn't say, "Hey, wake up! I'm going to stab you now."
Right.
So I'm like, who votes? Like, you know what? This person has to attack you for it to be legal for you to defend yourself. Like, they could just come in your house and stare over your bed.
That's terrifying. Can we not think of these things? Oh my God. I'm going to have nightmares now. Thanks, Frank.
I won't. We're done. We're done. I've laid out.
All right. So thanks for listening. This has been Night Shift with Courtney Sage
and Frank Hughes.
All right. We'll see y'all later.